Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Mental Mondays on Intuitive Angling. And man, I really appreciate you guys swinging by and checking out the video. And all you regulars out there, you guys know what we got going on here, Mental Monday. If you're new to the channel or have never seen it before, this is something we do once a week that we don't really talk about fishing. We just take a break from the tips and talk about something that sort of makes people think, stretches your mind a little bit, and welcome everybody. Guys, today we're going to be talking about the rise in conspiracy theorists around the country. We've touched upon this topic a little bit in the past, but I really want to delve into it deeper in today's video because I'm seeing it more prevalent here the past couple months. So we're going to get into that in today's video. And also, guys, before we get started, I just want to give everybody a big thank you. I know a lot of the members of the Mental Monday Club here are big supporters of the channel. Thank you guys very much for subscribing and using all the links that I put in my description to support the channel. I definitely take notice of that, so really appreciate you guys that are especially using my channel links in the description of each video. Thank you very much. Okay, guys, what I want to do is I want to get into this whole thing about conspiracy theorists and the sort of the destructive influence they have on our society. And this is something conspiracy theorists have been around for a long time, but we have really seen a rise on it, specifically over the past 6, 7, 8 years, big time. And I think a lot of this there's a lot of different reasons behind this, but I think one of the biggest reasons is with the advent of social media and podcasts. Podcasts across the country that's where a lot of conspiracy theorists put forth their ideas and that type of stuff. And ultimately what it is, I think, is a lot of podcasters and a lot of people that are, they don't identify as conspiracy theorists, but they are. A lot of the people that are along those lines there, they have figured out that if you can create fear and fake outrage in people, that keeps people interested in coming back and tuning in. And even some news media outlets are like that. They have a vested interest in sort of promoting and not denying conspiracy theories because it keeps people mad, it keeps people angry, it keeps people disenfranchised, and it's good for ratings. Ultimately, it is. Ultimately, what you have, though, is when you have a conspiracy theorist in the public forum, like a podcaster or a politician or whatever like that, it always winds up bad for them because eventually the conspiracy theories that they put out there damage people. And that's why you see so many conspiracy theories, so many conspiracy theorists wind up in court being sued for defamation of character. Ultimately, that's what it leads to, because one of the hallmarks of a conspiracy theory, of a conspiracy theory and a conspiracy theorist, is they tend to make wild claims without backing it up with any fact or evidence. We've seen this a lot. Conspiracy theorists are saying football games are rigged. Conspiracy theorists are saying elections are rigged. And they say that without any type of legitimate evidence in the face of overwhelming evidence, legitimate, fact-based, source-checked, overwhelming evidence that it's not any type of conspiracy. That's one of the things that we have seen a bunch over the past 5 or 6 or 7 years. Now, why is this? Where did it start at? What's the root of it here? And why is it destructive? First of all, when you put forth conspiracy theories and you try to do things that undermine the trust in our institutions and our traditions and our norms in society, that has a devastating effect on the entire balance of our culture and our society. Because anytime that you do something that undermines stability within our country, and conspiracy theorists are right along this line, it has a very destabilizing effect on our society. Because once you get these people out there that are putting out these wild conspiracy theories, it creates a distrust for institutions. It creates a distrust for any type of authority figures or any type of agencies or whatever that have normally been very well received and productive in our society. And once you do that, people start second guessing yourself, because you can't underestimate the power of like misinformation and propaganda. Now, let me draw a correlation with this. A lot of you guys that follow the channel, you know that I'm a big World War II historian buff. I've ever since I was a kid, I've been fascinated by the whole. I mean, it was a horrific time, worst time in our human history, but I try to study it to try to understand something about human behavior and human nature. And one of the things that vaulted us into the war was the fact that Joseph Goebbels, which was Adolf Hitler's propaganda minister, he formalized a very effective program to basically, brainwash and mislead the German people back in the 1930s by creating distrust with the media. One of his biggest philosophies was, he says, create and tell a big lie and keep telling it over and over and over again without any type of evidence or fact to back that up. And he says eventually, if you repeat a big lie enough times over and over again, a segment of the population is going to start believing it. It's almost like he was an evil genius in mind control of people. And that same type of element is what you see today in conspiracy theorists, because what they do is they'll get on to some type of conspiracy, and they just keep saying it over and over and over again about elections rigged, such and such is rigged, this is, there's deep state, whatever like that. They keep repeating it over and over again without backing it up with any type of fact-based critical thinking evidence to counter it. They don't at all. They just keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again. Eventually, this creates an element of distrust in our society, and you have an element, a percentage of the population that's fully invested in the conspiracy theory. And then once you do that, that is when you start having this destructive influence on our society and our norms out there. And that's what divides people. Every single conspiracy theorist out there has divided people as far as different, ideological lines out there. And they've done it, like I said, without any type of fact-based evidence to back it up. And there's a big difference when you're trying to present evidence and you're trying to present something to convince somebody out there. You have got to have just a checklist of things that give that verifiable credibility with that. And that credibility comes with a lot of different things. Something is either true or it's not true when you're talking about a topic out there. But the problem that you have out there, and this has been a problem for the past 100 years, is that people fall into an information silo based upon their worldviews a lot. If you have one certain worldview, it doesn't matter what it is, you tend to surround yourself with sources of information and people and ideas that reinforce that. And you don't ever pursue, or a lot of people don't ever pursue, any type of information that counters that. And that is the big problem that we have today with conspiracy theorists. So what do you do with it? I mean, how do you counter this? The only way that you can counter conspiracy theorists is to hold them accountable. And that's what we've done. That's why you've seen so many conspiracy theorists in the news the last 3 or 4 years that have been taken to court, and they've lost huge settlements for defamation. I mean, I can count about a half a dozen well-known people right now that have lost, millions and millions and millions of dollars in court from defamation by putting forth these conspiracy theories, because they just spew it out there and destroy people's lives, and they pollute people's minds without any evidence or fact. And they do that for personal benefit and to gain power. That's what a conspiracy theory does out there. And a conspiracy theorist is they prey on the people a lot of times out there that are maybe misinformed or underinformed or don't pay a lot of attention or don't fact check things or don't have a lot of critical thinking skills out there. And ultimately, it's very destructive to our society. It has been for the last 100 years. It was destructive to the German society back in the 1930s. Our country right now is more divided than it's ever been, since that period out there. And a big reason of it is because of those conspiracy theorists that are rampant out there and have been given a platform through different type of social media podcasts and whatever with that. So the main thing out there, guys, is that you know, you can't ever go wrong with the truth. That's the thing about it. If you seek the truth all the time, and you seek the truth from a pure level without having it colored from an opinion out there, you can never go wrong with that. And one of the biggest hallmarks that I see with conspiracy theorists out there is they use the negative elements of the human emotion, which is fear and anger and resentment, and pitting us against them. They use all that stuff to divide people. And guys, we have no reason to be divided, because I can tell you something right now. I've got a lot of friends that have a wide range of worldviews, whether it be philosophical, political, religious, just whatever, cultural. Right? And if you are around those people and those topics, those hot button topics don't come up, you see how much you have in common with another person out there. We're not different. People are not that different. It's like ultimately, if left alone, and if people are not influenced by outside forces like these conspiracy theorists, most people can get along. Most people, it's okay to have differences. There's nothing wrong with having a spirited debate on anything out there. But when somebody creates that vitriol, hatred, and division that comes with some of these conspiracy theorists and propagandists that we have now, that creates a toxic environment that can lead to violence. It leads to violence. It leads to distrust of everything out there, and it erodes our society out there big time. So a lot of this started, guys, back in the 1982 when we got rid of the fairness doctrine. And the fairness doctrine was basically a law that the United States had that people that considered themselves journalists or news people, they had to be completely unbiased. They could not take a side one way or the other. They had to present the news and the facts the way the facts are. And when that fairness doctrine was lifted back in the 80s, it created rise to different type of elements out there that eventually led to these conspiracy theorists that put forth what they call news without backing up any type of fact or evidence or truth behind that. They could just say anything that they wanted. And that's where it has led us to this point right now. So the thing about it is every time that I see one of these conspiracy theorists or one of these people out there that make wild accusations without any evidence get thrown into court and lose tens of millions of dollars, that makes me very happy, because that is something that is healing our country, and it legitimizes truth and virtue and integrity and ethics out there. But we've got a real problem with it right now, guys. I'm telling you right now, the conspiracy theorists are in the woodwork right now, and it's had a very destructive influence on our country over the past 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years. It really has. You guys know what I'm talking about here. But ultimately, the way that you get around that is you just always have to seek the truth. And the truth is it's not a gray area out there. And that's one of the things that conspiracy theorists, they thrive on, is they try to muddy the water of what truth is. It's like they create alternative facts. Up is down, down is up, day is night, night is day. They throw stuff out there to confuse people and muddy the water. And the main thing about it is just, you can't fall for that. And like I said, we've seen people getting punished by it. I think a lot of society is tired of those people that try to get away with that, to try to gain influence and make money and gain power over other people. And it's something that hopefully we can transcend as a society and basically start just getting along, start treating people better, start treating people with dignity and respect, and get along with everybody out there, and stop giving power to people that do not deserve power. Because one of the things about there is, I'll say one final thing about the people that have a lot of influence in our country, whether it be political leaders or podcasters or news media people that really have a platform to give power, is I have seen it's in the animal kingdom, the leader of the pack is always the smartest, strongest, most courageous, most perfect example of the pack, and we don't have that in our politics. A lot of times, guys, we have some of the dumbest people in positions of power for whatever reason out there. It's like we've gone against nature in that way out there. So anyway, just wanted to run that by you guys. Shoot me some comments. Let me know what you guys think out there. And I'll leave you guys with one final thing out there. Doesn't matter what your viewpoint is. I'm not labeling anybody one way or the other, but be aware if you fall into an information silo. And an information silo is when you narrow your information, the information that you get about the world, down to just a small percentage of like one or two different sources out there. And you can't do that. In order to have a balanced perspective on the reality of the world we live in, you have to assimilate information from a wide range of sources, from all different perspectives out there. And then what happens is when you have a mutual consensus and you have information that is backed up by verifiable, factual, results and factual information out there, then you can make your decision on what's true or not out there. But don't fall for some of this stuff that's out there right now, because it's so toxic for our environment out there, and it's really been a bad deal on our country here recently out there. So I hope we can transcend that and get back to the point where we can just get along and not start arguing with each other and fighting with each other, and stop giving power to people that do not deserve power, because we've sort of fallen into that trend out there about putting people in positions of power that have no business being there. So anyway, hope you guys are doing well. We'll talk later.